It's been a wild ride for the DCU, for DC fans even, after several high-profile disasters at the box office in Black Adam, The Flash. We've reached the swan song for the DCU in Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Is it a fitting end, a fitting send-off for the entire saga that we've gone through? No. No, it's not. It's not a fitting send-off at all. That's a bit of a misdirection there, though, because it is not a fitting send-off for the entire saga that we've had with all these characters and all these actors and directors and writers and overlords of the DC brand that we've had. It doesn't send them off at all. This movie could have been called Waterman and the Hidden Palace or something like that, and it would have been a sequel to the Waterman movie. It is so self-contained. There is not a reference to outside DC events here in the entire movie. This is a self-contained, self-sufficient sequel to Aquaman. And there's no... That's not a spoiler to say that there's no Batman, there's no Superman, there's no Wonder Woman, there's no anything like that goes into it. It is so self-contained that it feels weird that this is the finale, that this is the swan song for it, because this is definitely not intended and was not intended to be the swan song. This was intended to be another stepping stone to the long, whatever path that they were going on before James Gunn and Peter Safran took over. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, what is good about it? What is good about this movie? Well, to start off, Patrick Wilson and Jason Momoa are dynamite together. They are fan-frickin-tastic, and I want to see them in a buddy cop action movie at some point down the line, because they are so good together, butting heads as, brothers against each other, former enemies to friends to brothers throughout this film. And this film, that is the focus. That is the journey that you go on with these characters, is between these two brothers learning how to love each other, learning how to get along with each other in this familial dynamic. The villain, Black Manta, played by Yahya Abdul-Mateen, he is also fantastic. He is imposing. He is just scary, and he gets this trident in the film that gives him these superpowers because he's a little wimpy in Aquaman. Here, he is not a wimp. He kicks the crap out of Orm and Aquaman throughout the film. He gets the best of them over and over again until the end of the film, and his performance is commanding. He gets taken over by this sort of elder of the seventh kingdom, underwater of that kingdom, and so it warps his mind, and you have two different versions of the character that Abdul-Mateen plays here, and he does both very, very well. The other thing about Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom that I really particularly enjoyed as a horror fan, I love horror movies. James Wan, the director, is a master of horror at this point. There are some serious horror elements in this film, whether that's the creatures, the deep sea creatures that get commanded by Black Manta, the actual just Black Manta himself. James Wan shoots Black Manta like he's a slasher villain. There's scenes where it's just dark pitch and you see the red of his eyes. And a character that normally would look extraordinarily goofy and silly looks terrifying and menacing here, and it just works. Other than that, the horror stuff in the film, there's a lot of it that just, it doesn't stick out like a sore thumb like you would think in this sort of fun, adventure, entertaining film. Not to say that horror is not entertaining, but it doesn't really feel like it would fit the vibe, and it does. It breaks up sort of the levity of the film almost, and other than that too, there's some funny moments here, and I know there's a whole crowd of people that are going to come and say, I don't want my comic book movies to be funny. James Gunn sucks. He puts stupid humor in everything. You need the humor, folks. You need the levity. Otherwise, you just have this dense, just tense ball of a movie that never lets you go. And you need it. And here you do get it, but especially between Orm and Aquaman. You get it from other characters here as well. The surrounding cast of the film, it's kind of astounding that they brought back almost all of the cast from the first film. Nicole Kidman is back. Dolph Lundgren is back. You have some other characters. You have one voiced by Martin Short, which I was surprised to see him in a DC film. And yes, I'm not getting to this because I'm getting to it now. Amber Heard is in this film. There's been plenty of stuff out there, plenty of crap. Oh, well, she's in the film a lot. She's not in the film a lot. They cut her role. They added her role. They did all this. All of it is smoke. She's in the film. She does some cool things. She's not offensive in the film at all. She does her stuff and kind of stays in the background. This is not her movie. This is Arthur and Orm's movie 100%. She is in it in the background. She is a side character. Shows up, does her stuff, and gets out. You don't need to worry about it if you're sitting here going, I'm not going to go see a movie with Amber Heard in it. You don't need to worry about it. Worry about the stuff she did in real life, not in the movie. Now for the bad. The bad of Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. It feels like a long movie. It's about 2 hours, a little bit over 2 hours, and the pacing of the film really suffers. The script suffers a bit as well. There's a lot of just exposition and explaining, and there's at least 2 voiceovers that really didn't need to be there. You could see the stuff on screen, and you don't need the audience explaining it to them like they're dumb. And there's some scientific stuff that's kind of weighty and drags the film down. It has this overall adventure, boisterous vibe to it, and they add all of this stuff that really shouldn't be there. And it feels like this was added because of test screenings or whatever else, reshoots, where people were complaining that maybe stuff wasn't explained as well. But the stuff on screen when they're showing off the Seventh Kingdom and how it's evil and it's called Necros or Necron or something like that, it means dead, people. It means dead. You're going to assume that the kingdom of the dead is bad. You don't need Patrick Wilson's voiceover to explain that to you. And then there's Randall Park's character who feels like he's there to explain the scientific stuff, to explain the mineral thing, the resource that's causing Black Manta to poison the earth to bring back this other evil entity. It feels like a lot of that doesn't need to be there. And overall, it feels like this is just an overstuffed film that shouldn't have been overstuffed. And I'm not sure if that's just because it's the last one and they needed to get a bunch of stuff in. It feels like you didn't need to do that. You just put the movie out. If it's a good movie, people are going to go see it. If it's a bad movie, people aren't, and they're going to say it's bad. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is, however, a good movie. A lot of these recent DC films, I would not go back and rewatch. I'm sorry. I enjoyed The Flash. I enjoyed Black Adam. I might go back and rewatch them if they're on TNT or whatever, but I don't want to actively go out and rewatch them. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, I want to go see it again. I really do. I want to go see this movie again so I can see the visual styles, because James Wan presents a beautiful visual style here. It's a beautiful looking movie, and I want to see Patrick Wilson and Jason Momoa more. It feels like a Lethal Weapon buddy cop type of vibe that they're going for, and I just love that about it. So, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, it is not a swan song for the DCU. It does not send it off in this grand way. If you're sitting through to the end credits scene, the end credits scene is not what you're going to expect here. It's just something that adds to something else that happened earlier in the film. There's no other DC characters here to say anything, to show off anything. It feels very much like its own self-contained thing. So wherever we're going from the DCU here with James Gunn and Peter Safran's vision is not in this movie. That doesn't mean you shouldn't go see it. You can check out Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom in theaters on December 22nd. And it's just a fun, entertaining bit of superhero popcorn stuff. That's really what you're getting out of it. It's nothing more, nothing less. It's a good movie. Go check it out if you want to see it. If you like this movie review and you want to see more, I really recommend my review of Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire, because Zack Snyder was the director for the DCU for a long time. This is his movie after that.